afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you might be. My name is Marva B. I am your host with the Black Link Experience. I am the CEO and founder of Black Link Magazine, and I'm so excited to have Geechie here with us. Hey, what's going on, Geechie? Welcome.
Hey, good afternoon. How you doing?
I'm
Thank you.
doing absolutely glad to have you. Glad to have you. Go ahead and tell the world who you are and what you do.
Well, hey world. My name is Geechie Dan. I'm the co-chairman of Hip Hop Hall of Fame. I'm the brand ambassador for Hip Hop Fundamental. I'm also the brand ambassador for the Wit Fanatics, which is an antique car crew out of Queens, New York. I'm
Mm.
also the brand ambassador for Generation Hip Hop Global, which is a international hip hop organization based out of Cape Town, South Africa. And our chairman is Ndabi Mandela. He's Nelson Mandela's grandson. So big shout out to Generation Hip Hop Global and their team, Raquel, Donna, Adam, Terrence, Barry, and Ndabi Mandela. Um, I've been playing the tapes of all our hip hop icons, which I've converted to CD and MP3 for the generation that don't understand cassette tapes. Um, Now they're now MP3s, and I have a show called the Geechie Dan Hip Hop Tape Show, where I play these MP3s of all the park jams, house parties, block parties, clubs, skating rings of all our hip hop pioneers, legends, and icons. I have a new show coming in the next 2 weeks called the Hip Hop Icon Show, where I display some of the items that we used to wear back in the days, some of the flyers, and some of the audio that we used to, some of the audio of my collection from back in the days. I have the largest collection of the tapes. I have approximately 800 jams from these pioneers and icons and legends in hip hop. So I'll be doing a TV show that's coming soon. I also have a audio show called the Hip Hop Icon Music Channel, where you'll be able to hear the whole entire party of the jams and the block parties and the clubs and the skating rinks as well. That will be a subscription channel as well. So that's coming as well.
Wow. You do a lot, a lot, a lot. I thought I was busy, but you got me busy. You got me busy. Like growing up, when did you know? When was it music for you? How did you know that that's exactly what you were going to be doing?
It was the tapes that were circulating these parties in the Bronx and in Harlem at the T Connection and at Harlem World and the Savoy Manor and XCC Garage and the Park Jams in the Bronx and Zulu Nation Anniversary parties at the T Connection and Bronx River Community Center. I, 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 I heard one tape, and that was it for me. Yeah. I started emulating these brothers and sisters on the tape, and then I had to find a name for myself. Everybody had MC names and DJ names and entertainment names, and so I said I need a name. So my favorite movie at the time was Uptown Saturday Night, where Harry Belafonte was Geechie Dan, Bill Cosby, Sidney Poitier, and so I said, "Wow, Geechie Dan. My real name is Daniel."
Yeah.
So it was only fitting to have a name that was different. No one else had. It was unique.
Yeah.
So I said, Geechie Dan, that's what my name is. I didn't see my original name, Bob Hope, was my original name.
Yeah.
I didn't see that going anywhere at the time. So I said, let me change my name to Geechie Dan. So Geechie Dan was born. This was about 1982, 1983. Mm-hmm. And once I got hooked on the tapes, snippet of the tapes, I was hearing snippets of the parties. Right. They would play some of the audio on New York radio. Zulu Beats would play some tapes. World famous Supreme Team Show, Mr. Magic. Rest in peace, Mr. Magic. So on WHBI. So I started gravitating towards that. And then with my new name, Geechie Dan, I started emceeing and collecting the tapes. And that's how this is how it started.
Wow. And so you started doing that, and how did it explode into doing things for the bigger name people and the parties in that way and emceeing in that way?
As hip hop grew, the tapes circulated throughout tri-state area, New York, throughout the whole East Coast, and then eventually the South, the Midwest. People started collecting these tapes of these parties that was going on in New York. This is before vinyl. Mm-hmm. This is before the radio. This was before endorsements and record deals, the business aspect of it. This is before that.
Yes.
So once it grew like wildfire, like I said, I started going out in the neighborhood and testing my skill level. And my first opponent was LL Cool J.
Oh.
Yeah, he was the first dude that I went after him. He didn't come after me.
Oh, okay.
And I'm saying that out of respect because I don't want people to think that I'm some bully. But at that time in hip hop, you couldn't come out rhyming or rapping and saying that you was this and you was that and you was the best MC in the hood and not prove it. You have to show and prove at that time.
Right.
So it wasn't anything personal. It was just a matter, it was competition. You know, he was top dog in the neighborhood. I was a come up. And so I felt like I need to see him. I need to call him out.
Right.
And the first time I called him out, he wasn't present. So that wasn't fair. I can't say there was a battle because he wasn't present. So I called him out, and then he heard about it, and then he didn't get a chance to defend himself, so to speak.
Right.
And then we officially had a battle later on. A couple of weeks later, we had a battle, officially battle, and being that I called him out, I went first. I had to go first.
Yeah.
And then he went behind, after me, and then I lost respectfully.
Yes.
So, big shout out to the GOAT, big shout out to LL Cool J for doing what he had to do, and taking his dream to another level and being successful in hip hop and what he does. So, big shout out to him and congratulations to him on his induction to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. All right.
Shout out to LL Cool J. So at the time that you guys did the battle, like he was just now getting into the game too, to grow his business. He was just now entering into the business.
Yes, exactly.
What's next?
Next was, okay, so now I already have a street name, emceeing in the parks and block parties and, parties in the backyard, barbecues and stuff like that. Yeah. I already had a rep for collecting the tapes. Now, at this time, this is like 1985, I already had 50, 60 tapes already.
Right.
And me purchasing the Burger Alarm boombox radio at the time, I played all the tapes in my boombox all throughout New York City, throughout Queens, Long Island, Manhattan. So yeah, I started bringing my Burger Alarm boombox radio throughout the city and playing the tapes. Right. Then I got down with Zulu Nation probably around 1984. Mm-hmm. It's a hip hop organization up in the Bronx that I got down, I say about 83, 84. Then I got down with WBAU College Radio at Delphi University around 1984 as well. And that came about from me calling up to the radio station and being a pest, making dedications all throughout New York City. I dedicate this, and big shout out to this, and what's up to this one and that one. And so I was hogging up the phone lines. At that time, I was hogging up the phone lines with all my dedications. So Dr. Dre from UNTV Rap, he was the host of the show called The Operating Room.
Right.
He was a student as well. So he said, Geechie, you clogging up the phone lines, brother. Like, why don't you just come up here and say your own dedications? Wow. I said, no problem. So I started going to BAU immediately, and been down with BAU ever since. This was like 84. And I met Dr. Dre from UNTV Rap, T-Money, Easy G, their DJ, from Original Concept that were on Def Jam Records. Keith Shockley from the Bomb Squad that produced Rakim, Slick Rick, Public Enemy.
Yeah.
And Chuck D.
Yeah.
And MC Flavor. Flavor Flav, which he now calls Flavor Flav. All these guys were up at the radio station at BAU, 90.3 FM, college radio. And no one had record deals at the time. Everybody was just a big crew.
Right.
And politicking and doing shows out in Long Island and Queens. And we didn't see this coming. It just grew like wildfire. Everybody that was on BAU went on to do bigger and better things. Hank and Keith became the Bomb Squad. Bill Stephanie had a show called Mr. Bill Show. He became an executive at Def Jam. Dr. Dre, T-Money, hooked up with Ed Lover and Fred Five Freddy, and they became UNTV Raps.
Yeah.
Chuck D, MC Flavor became Public Enemy, and Geechie Dan became Geechie Dan.
Geechie Dan, what did you do after that? So everybody's doing their thing, it's growing, you're still in the business. Like what's next? Continue, tell us what's next.
Well, this is not something that, my mother was not a big advocate of what I was doing.
Right.
She was not a big supporter, big fan at all, by no means. And she discouraged me, and she put a lot of peer pressure on me to not able to be successful in what I love to do it. And she told me I would never be successful in life and with this,
right,
or anything that I do that I love to do, because I wasn't a Jehovah's Witness. My mother's a Jehovah's Witness.
Yes.
And at that time, she was really adamant about not seeing me making things happen for me. So from the peer pressure, she really had a lot of control on me, which I'm ashamed to say today. But my mother was really, like I said, she shut me down. And so every move I tried to make, I couldn't execute any moves that I made because of every time I tried to do something, she shut me down.
Right.
So in 1985, I believe, was it 1985? Yes, 1985. She presented me a contract, and the stipulations in that contract were that I had to continue going to the book study, the theocratic ministry school, and the Sunday meeting on Sunday, Sunday meetings, Tuesday night book study, Thursday night theocratic ministry school during the week. Right. I had to continue going to field service. That's what the Jehovah's Witnesses do when you see them in the morning, right, or afternoon, knocking on your door, waking you up.
Yeah.
I had to continue going to Jehovah's Witness conventions. I had to continue studying the Bible. I had to continue making comments at the Kingdom Hall. And ultimately, I had to dedicate my life and get baptized at the next Jehovah's Witness convention. And if I did not abide to these rules, I had to leave her home that day. And I also jeopardized not getting my guardianship money that I was supposed to receive when I turned 18 years old, which was about $43,000 at the time.
Right.
So in order for me to get my money when I turned 18, and in order for me to stay in her home, I had to sign the contract. And she had it notarized and made a copy. So I couldn't really do anything. At that time, hip hop was really, really going places, was going to another level. And new things was happening, new situations, new opportunities was happening for hip hop. Yeah. And I couldn't be involved with any of that at the time. And then my 3 years later, I found out that my mother, ultimately, she jerked me. The money that I was supposed to get 2 years prior to that, she spent it. So I had gotten baptized for nothing. And she started using my social security number to really mess me up, because then I couldn't get an apartment. I couldn't get into a co-op complex. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't make any moves because she had abused my social security number and filed a bankruptcy under my social security number, and took out loans, equity loans on the home we lived in Queens, and used my social. So, she made sure she did damage control to everything that I wanted to do. And she just put me in a bad position with the Jehovah's Witnesses, with the Kingdom Hall, people I grew up. She really did a number on me on that. Yeah. So I had to, throughout life, I had to find a way how to forgive her without being bitter and without being disrespectful or dishonorable. Yeah. And that took 25 years to do. Yeah. I had to figure it out because I couldn't allow myself to lose my cool. I couldn't allow myself to, bash the Jehovah's Witnesses because it wasn't really their fault. It was more of something with the situation that my mother was doing.
Right.
I wrote a book about this in 2008. I published a book called The Kingdom Hall No More on Author House Publishing. You can find it on Amazon.com today. I talk about my 16 years experiences growing up as a Jehovah's Witness in Hollis, Queens, New York. I talk about the ins and outs of all my activities and some buzzwords and, what I used to do at these meetings and conventions and at the Kingdom Hall on Hollis Avenue. So I'm good. I'm good mentally, spiritually, emotionally. I'm in a great space.
That's good.
And it wasn't for God. I had to ultimately, I reached out to God, and he became my best friend. Yeah. And I asked him to show me how to respond to not only my mother, but other individuals that, try to bring me back from my past.
Yeah.
To take me back to my past and remind me. And, ultimately and eventually I cut them off.
Yeah.
So, I haven't cut my mother off completely, but over the years, my conversation with my mother have gotten, we don't talk as much. 5 years ago, we might have been on the phone for about 20 minutes. 3 years ago, it went down to 15 minutes. A couple of months ago, we're probably at 7 minutes. You know, I love you. How you doing? She's in a nursing home. Are you getting fed well? Are you taking your medications? Are you able to get out the bed and walk? You know, and then, you know, I'll talk to you later. Goodbye. That's the best way I'm able to, God has shown me how to handle my mother without losing my cool and hanging up the phone on her and still being upset.
Yeah.
And let her, you know, get the best of me. So I had to, you know, turn it around. And, you know, I have to have a clear head in this. I have to remain focused. She may not, you know, she may not approve. She may not like what I'm doing, but I want to be successful in life and what I love to do. And that's all I ask.
Right.
So I have to, you know, stay away from individuals that try to bring me back. Ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, people I used to go to the Kingdom Hall with, family, you know, that co-sign, you know, the Jehovah's Witness doctrine, or they co-sign, you know, the activities my mother have done. So, you know, I wish them the best, but, you know, Geechie Dan, I have to live for Geechie Dan now, and I have to stay focused and do what I love to do. And this is what I love to do.
Yeah.
And I thank God for giving me clarity on how to handle someone that you're supposed to have honor and respect for when things are not honorable and when things are not respectful.
Yeah. Did you have any siblings?
I have a brother, and I had one sister that recently passed away, and I have 2 other sisters.
Okay. In the home with you all?
No, they didn't grow up with me.
Okay.
They are my sisters and brother were from my mother's first marriage.
Okay.
I'm the only one from my mother's second marriage.
Okay. Gotcha. Wow. So during that time, and you turned 18 and you found out that all that was gone. You didn't have that.
No, I didn't have that. And then my mother just, you know, she just took it to another level with the peer pressure, you know, paying me to make comments at the Kingdom Hall.
So so at what point did that separate and you were like, I'm grown and I got to go and I got to just do my own thing?
From that time, it took about another 10 years to get out of that web of deceit.
Mm-hmm.
And I eventually moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico. This was in 1995.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to UNM during the daytime, and I was working at the Penitentiary of New Mexico. I was working for the state correctional facility at the pen in Santa Fe as a correction officer at night.
Right.
And that's when I started writing the beginnings of the Kingdom Hall No More book, because I wanted to get this out of my system. It just seemed like I wasn't able to move forward. I wasn't able to grow. I didn't have no connection with God. I didn't, mentally and spiritually, I was tore up. And I had to find a way to get to connect with God, and not through the Jehovah's Witness.
Right. So what was that process? Because your belief that you know, when you grew up, it was Jehovah's Witness. So how did you say, okay, God, it's just me and you. I just need me and you. I don't need the Jehovah's Witness or nothing. I need me and you. How did that happen?
That happened. I started going to church. And then when I moved to Atlanta, I really started looking for churches to go to. And I went and became members of several churches in the Atlanta area in the 90s. What was it? 1997. We moved from Albuquerque, me and my first wife, We moved from Albuquerque to Atlanta in 1997. And then I started, that's when I really started like looking, searching, finding a good church home. And wasn't able to find a good one where I consistently stayed and attended services until later around 2013. I found a good church home in Snellville, Georgia at the time. And I started doing security for the pastor.
Right.
And, for the church. And I started getting involved with different activities and events, programs.
Right.
And that's when I started really, really getting into finding out who I am and who God is and how he operates.
Yeah.
And his characteristics. And at that time, I was into my second marriage, and I lost everything. We was, me and my second wife had entered a relationship the wrong way. And from the results of that came everything that we had gathered together as man and wife was for the wrong reason, was just wrong. Wasn't supposed to happen. It wasn't
right.
It wasn't correct.
Right.
So I end up losing everything. I lost my marriage. I lost my home. I lost my car. I lost my job. I went to jail for 2 weeks because of my license was suspended. So I was in county jail. So, I was tore up. And I started praying a lot more. And my prayers was consistently of me crying, begging him, asking him and begging him to please help me. And I was living at my first wife's apartment. I was sleeping on her couch because she didn't want to see her son's father on the street.
Right.
And one day I was sitting on my son's bed crying. And I asked my son, what should I do? And he said, go back to New York. Go back to New York. Go back and do what you love to do. You love this. This is what you do all day. You listen to those tapes. You know all the lyrics. You know all the icons. You know all the people in hip hop. Go back to New York and live your dream. There's no purpose you staying here in Georgia because you lost everything. You have nothing else to stay here for. So I came back to New York on faith. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I had to come back to New York to start the process of putting my dream together. So we're talking about 5 years later.
Yeah.
This is what God has blessed me. So now I try to do the right thing by my marriage. I try to do the right thing by people I work with.
Yes.
I try to do the right thing by God.
Yes.
I try to do the right thing by hip hop.
Yeah.
And the individuals in hip hop as well. So that's when all this started, with me coming back to New York, doing the Geechie Dan hip hop tape show and playing the tapes and inviting the icons and the pioneers that's on the tapes, and bridging the gap from what was my generation to today's generation, because this generation needs to know where to go. If they don't know where they came from, they don't know where they're going.
That's right.
And so my collection of tapes has grown from, at the time, 400 to now approximately 800. I was able to become the executive director of the Hip Hop Museum in DC for almost 2 years.
Wow.
I was able to become the brand ambassador of all the organizations that I mentioned earlier in the interview.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to become the co-chairman of the Hip Hop Hall of Fame. I've been approached by TV to do my show on TV. I've been invited to host different parties across the country. I've been invited to a summit about 3 months ago in Nashville, Tennessee, for the opening of the National Museum of African American Music in Nashville, Tennessee. My wife and I. So we, I am very grateful. I am very grateful that God is allowing me to live my dream and finally be successful in life and what I love to do. This is my love. And so I appreciate you guys as well for reaching out to me. I've been in magazines. I've been on the cover of magazines throughout the 2 years, and I'm looking forward to representing your magazine and sharing my testimony with others. This is nothing but God. I'm telling you, it seems like every week somebody is blessing me. Somehow God puts the right person in front of me or in my path. I'm telling you, this ain't nothing but a blessing. This ain't nothing but God. So I give God all the glory for this.
Right. That's right. We go through things in our lives, and at the moment while we're going through it, it seems like the worst thing in our lives. But, we all have a story, and you have a powerful story, and for it to come full circle, right?
Yes.
You suffered a lot, but your suffering was not in vain. And when you built your relationship back with God the way you wanted to, because it sounded like you were forced into doing that.
I never wanted to be a Jehovah's Witness.
Right.
That's what my mother was doing, and that was her thing. I never wanted to be forced into a religion. I wanted to find my own way and find my own path. And she didn't allow that.
Yeah.
She robbed me from, I could have been a lot. It could have went either way, but I'm pretty sure, knowing me, I could have been a lot further in hip hop than I currently am now. But that's no problem. God said that's no problem. I got you. There's nothing impossible for when you're rocking with God.
That's right. You have to put him first in everything that you do. He'll guide you. He'll guide you. And even when it seems like he's not listening, he really is. And so it happened, but you learn, and there are some things that you had to learn while going through that. And now you're here today. So that's just a blessing in itself. And when we wish you nothing but more success on top of success, continue doing what makes you happy, that you're compassionate about. We can't live off of other people's dreams and other people's wants. You just can't. And so the things that I believe that the things that we go through are for a reason. And now you're doing what you love to do.
I spoke to my mother, like I stated earlier, a couple of months ago, and she asked me how I was doing and what I was up to. And I told her, I was doing this in hip hop, and I was doing this and I'm doing that. And she stated to me, this is exactly what she said. She said, did you call me to tell me this because I'm not interested? So I didn't say nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I said, she's trying to get me off, to make me lose focus. She's trying to get me upset like she used to. She's trying to make me raise my voice or get, be tempered or be bothered by this and lose my cool and hang up the phone. And then I'm all rattled and I'm losing. No. For years, she used to get me that way. No more. So I just ignored her. I said, Mommy, you asked me. And so I'm just, stating to you what you asked. So she couldn't say nothing. But I didn't get mad about it. I ain't say disrespectful.
Yeah.
Or start yelling. So
Yeah.
I just was cool. And then I changed the subject. When I said that, I said, so how are you doing? How are you taking your meds?
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see anybody? Have you seen anybody from the Kingdom Hall? No, I have not. How are you able to get out the bed?
Mm-hmm.
See, now she's trying to get me again how she used to get me. Why are you asking me about Jehovah's Witness? I don't even go there no more.
Mm-hmm.
Just as cool as a cucumber. No,
Yeah.
mommy, no.
Yeah.
Haven't seen nobody. How have you been? Again, have you seen the doctor on this situation? Are you able to get out the bed? Okay, I'll talk to you later. Because now my 7 minutes is tops now. I can't go no further with her no more.
Wow.
Because now the conversation is going to start going left. And I'm not going to be able to control myself. So I said, you know what? It's time. So like I said, over the years, the conversations has gotten shorter. And it's for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm able to get off the phone, still stay focused, still be respectful,
Yeah.
and still be honorable.
Yes.
And
That's
still
right.
and not lose my cool.
Wow. This is whew. Yeah, I can't wait to get the story in the magazine. This is people need to hear how you overcome things. And it may be a uphill battle, but once you get there, you're there. And so now I'm just thankful for you that you're in a space that you're happy, you're doing what you love, you have your wife, and you just have nothing but respect for yourself, because you can't
Yes,
respect other people if you don't respect yourself. And I always say
exactly.
that at the end of every show, you got to respect yourself and respect others. So
Yes. Thank you again for inviting me
you're very
on
welcome.
the platform. And I'd like to say a big thank you to God.
Yes. Oh,
And I'd like to salute and big thank you and a love to my wife, Sheila.
yes. Hey,
And
Sheila.
yes, thank you, Sheila. Yes, big shout out and big love to my wife and to my sons, little Daniel. He's my oldest son, and my youngest son is Jaden. So big shout out to them and a big love to my
Absolutely.
sons.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to get out of here for now, you guys. Go out and find him on all social media sites. If nothing else, just click the like. We got to support one another in order for us to grow and get to next levels. We got to show support for one another. So as we go out of here, I just want to say again, remember to respect yourself, respect each other. God bless.